Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Blue Whale and welcome back to another Preseason 2016 video. And today we're going to be talking about Trundle. Now if you guys have been playing the game on patch 5.24, then you know that Trundle is really strong right now. Somebody actually asked me to make a video about Trundle, so he's not that hard, but this guide should help you get better at him. And this might be one of the last guides like this. I don't know when patch 6.1 is coming out. If you guys didn't know, that's the next patch. There's not going to be a patch 5.25. And when 6.1 comes out, I'm going to probably switch back to in-depth guides. So I'll go over all the abilities and stuff then. But as for now, we're going to be sticking with these shorter guides. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Okay, so here we are on the client. And we'll go ahead and get the boring stuff out of the way first. First off, I have a Twitter. If you guys want to follow me there, then I'll start interacting with it more, asking you guys what kind of champions you'd like to see for the next guides, or even why did I win, why did I lose, stuff like that. If you don't want to follow me, it's fine. It doesn't really matter to me. However, it's there if you want to. There's a link in the description below. Also, if you're on NA, you can join this chat room called Whale Lounge. I always have it open when I'm logged into League, and if I'm not in a game, I'll check it, see if there's any questions or anything. If you want to ask me something here, you can. Also, I'll look here first if I'm looking for people to play normals with, and we'd probably be playing a featured game mode. So I think they're actually taking away the Pro King pretty soon, but next time there's featured game mode, if you want to play with me, just stop by this chat room, and I'll be in it. If you don't know how to join a chat room, you just click the middle button down here, join a chat room, and you type in Whale Lounge, and that would open up this, and then I have it to where I auto join on startup if you want to do that. If you don't want to do that, it doesn't matter. Like I said, it's just there if you want it. Now also we do have some music. Today we're going to be listening to Marine Tube on repeat. I've listened to this before, but I like it a lot. It's a really chill song. It's really good for this commentary where I'm just going to talk, you know, the whole time. It's good background music. There'll be a link in the description below if you want to listen to it for yourself. And now, we'll move on to some stuff about Trundle. So, Trundle is, as I said at the intro, Trundle is really easy. I need to turn on the music a little bit. There we go. Okay, Trundle is really easy. With his passive, he doesn't have any sustain problems, and he doesn't really have skill shots or anything. The only thing that's difficult about Trundle is his E. And that's really what separates great Trundles from good Trundles. But right now, Trundle's so strong that you don't even have to be able to use his E correctly to be good at him. However, if you really want to get good at Trundle, that's what you need to practice, and we'll talk about that once we get to the gameplay. But anyways, as far as runes go on Trundle, there's two options. If you're laning as Trundle, if you're just watching this and you also want to lane, you don't want to just jungle, I'd probably run something like this, what I'm showing you right now. It's a mix of armor pin and attack damage. There are AD quints, and I think 5 AD reds, yep, and 4 armor pin quints. That just gives you a little more armor pin and AD on your kit. This is also fine for jungling. If you do want to run this in the jungle, that's perfectly fine. Armor yellows, those are standard, and then I actually have a bunch of rune pages because, well, I mean, you can see I have all 20 unlocked. So if you have excess rune pages, you might want to make an AD versus AD page. So this is my standard AD page when I'm versus AD champions. You know, they don't have an AP, or maybe their supports are only AP. I would run this. If I was versus a balanced enemy team, it would probably be this one. And this is probably what you want to run if you don't have that many rune pages. This is just the armor pin, AD, attack damage, armor yellows, and then magic resist flat blues. You could also do scaling blues if you wanted, but Trundle really strives on early game skirmishes, so I'd probably leave it at flat magic resist. Now, these are two options, and you can jungle fine with this, but the only thing is you're going to be a little bit slower if you run just AD pages rather than attack speed. And as for me, I usually run my attack speed page like this. So it has attack speed quints, all AD marks, armor yellows, and magic resist blues. This way your jungling's a lot quicker, and also I like to go Devourer on Trundle. We'll talk about what you can go later, but if you want to clear the jungle fastest, you definitely want attack speed. If you want to do theoretically the most damage to champions, you would go with the AD page. Or if you just already have that AD page and you don't want to change it, maybe you don't have attack speed cleanse, you know, that's fine. It works, but this is the best for clearing the jungle for sure on Trundle. Now on the masteries, and let me actually pause and I'll. Oh, this is, yeah, this is correct. Okay, no, it isn't. Sorry, I'll pause and I'll come back with the correct mastery. Okay, so this is what I would run on Trundle jungle. Sorry about not having it, and the music actually stopped too. We'll fix that right now though. Okay, and I guess I was just using this page on somebody else because I would never run. You could run 12 in cunning, but I would never go all the way down in cunning because the reason that Trundle's so strong right now, and I don't know if people know this or they really understand, but the reason Trundle is so strong is because of runic armor. Runic armor makes all healing on you increase by 8%. That includes Trundle's passive, so Trundle's sustain is absolutely insane right now. Also, his ult heals him, and runic armor will increase how much your ult heals you. So it's basically this one mastery is why Trundle's in the stadias right now, because you guys probably won't remember this, but a few patches ago, like quite a few patches ago in the middle of Season 5, they buffed Trundle's passive a lot because Trundle wasn't getting played. And back then it was fine, but then they made this mastery where all shields can, or all healing can be increased by a lot, and then that made Trundle really strong. So anyways, you definitely want at least 12 in Resolve. If you want to run if you want to run this, you can, because I go Devour. You don't have to go Devour though. And this is probably the best. I've had the most success with this. I don't really like the Fervor build. I feel like the Grasp of the Undying, the increased healing, and also Grasp gives you a little more damage when you gank early game. So I really like Grasp, but you want to run Fervor, you can. That's perfectly fine too. You should probably try both and then find out which one you like more. But anyways, general overview, attack speed, because you're an auto attack reliant champion. Trundle has an auto reset on his Q, and his W is an attack speed steroid, so he's definitely an auto reliant champion. You don't really need a sorcery. You can take it, but you don't really need it. Double-edged sword, you are a melee champion. Vampirism, because you're an AD champion. I don't know if you guys have seen my opinion on these or not, but if you're an AD champion, Vampirism is a lot better. If you're an AP champion, Natural Talent's a lot better. That's just how it works, because Natural Talent only gives you 10 attack damage at level 18, which is absolutely awful, but it gives you more ability power, and on junglers you don't really get, it's hard to build up a lot of AP on an AP jungler, so Natural Talent's a lot better on AP champions. Anyways, Vampirism if you're AD, which you are, and then you can go Oppressor or Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter if you're feeling cocky and you think you're going to get a bunch of kills. Oppressor if you want to play it safe and go with the generally better one. If an enemy is standing near your E, then Oppressor will deal increased damage to them. Then over to the defense tree, I always take Unyielding because I think it's a lot better than increased health regen, and Trundle doesn't have any sustained problems anyway, so I would take Unyielding. Tough Skin, you could take Explorer too if you wanted. I like Tough Skin to be more tanky. Don't take Veteran Scars because it's awful, and this is what makes Trundle OP. I like Insight because Summoner spells are reduced, but you could take Perseverance if you feel like you're dying a lot. Swiftness because Murktreads got nerfed, and CC is really annoying right now. And then Grasp of the Undying because it works really well with Trundle's kit. Now, I actually got into a discussion with some Redditors the other day about Strength of the Ages versus Grasp of the Undying. And basically what it comes down to, and I'm not like trying to call anyone out or anything like that, but Grasp of the Undying is better early game and it's better late game, but mid game Strength of the Ages is better. And if you base it purely off of how much health you get, then it seems that Strength of the Ages is better when you do the math. However, that's only if the fight doesn't last an increased amount of time. So really you can go Strength of the Ages if you want, but I think Grasp is a lot better than Trundle. It increases your damage early game. Grasp is a lot better super late game, like when so Strength of the Ages can get stacked at about 15 minutes or 20 minutes, just depending on how much you're jungling or ganking lanes while there are cannon minions there. And then at that point, it's going to be a lot better than Grasp. But you get to 30 minutes, any 28 minutes, you know, anything past 25 minutes really, then Grasp starts to get better. And like I said, it's just personal preference. Grasp increases your damage when you gank. Strength doesn't. So, anyways, I just felt like I should talk about them. In terms of health you're going to get, it's going to take quite a long fight for grass to outweigh Strength of the Ages in every fight, but it also does damage. So don't just think about it as how much health you'd be getting from it. You got to think about how much damage it does too. So grass, in my opinion, is a lot better, especially on Trundle. And now we'll move on to item sets, and I definitely don't have an item set ready, so I'll pause it and we'll come back with that. Okay, we're back with all the items, and what I'm going to do for this video, sorry if you just heard me moving my mic around, but Trundle can get 3 out of the 4 jungle smites. I mean, you could even go Runeglaive if you really wanted to, but it's not going to be that great for you. So I have all the item builds built out, possible items you might want to get on either of the smites. And I'll talk through them really quickly. I don't want this video to be super long, so I don't want to go too in depth, but I'll try to breeze through them kind of quickly. So what I've been doing on Trundle is going Devour, and that's why I limited it down to 6 items, because this is pretty much what I go every game when I play Trundle jungle. As far as starting items, you're an auto attack reliant champion, so you get Hunter's Machete. You don't have sustain problems, so you can easily go refillable potion, then get a yellow trinket to make sure you're not invaded at level 1. Now, as for Smite, the actual Smite item, you can get any of the 3. All 3 are good on Trundle, and that's pretty much true on most champions. It's really down to personal preference. I don't like either giving up Red Trinket or being able to place wards, so I always go Green Smite. But if you want to go Red Smite, especially for this Devourer build, that'd be really good. And Blue Smite gives you a little more CC, and if you're not good with Trundle's E, you might want to be going Blue Smite in your Trundle games, because that's all the CC that you have. So if you're not good at it, you might want this for some more. Anyways, I go Boots of Swiftness on Devourer Trundle because 1, they're the cheapest, and you are going Rageblade, and Rageblade's pretty expensive right now. And if they nerf Rageblade for patch 6.1, which they might, I'm not sure, you can ask me about it below, but probably if they nerf it really bad, then just trade out Blade of the Ruined King for Gunsos. And you might think Gunsos is weird because Trundle doesn't have the AP scalings, but his ult scales with AP. And basically, since Trundle has an auto reset and an attack speed steroid, Gunsos is just really good because of that. You don't really have to have the AP scaling for it to be a good item. So anyways, Devour, Boots of Swiftness because they're really cheap and they're really good boots. If your enemy team just has a ton of CC, then you could go Merc Treads. But I would, and even if you're going Swiftness, this is true, you need to leave it at just Boots of Speed until you finish your Rageblade, then come back and finish your Boots, whatever you want. I usually go Swiftness though. Then next we are going Rageblade. Like I said, it's really good even though it doesn't have an AP scaling, it just works. Finally, well, you want Spirit Visage if you can get it next, but if you're versus a bunch of AD champions, then you probably need to go Gauntlets first. Either way, you're going to get Visage into Gauntlet or Gauntlet into Visage, because Visage increases your passive and increases how much your ult heals you. And once again, like I said, that's why Trundle is so good, because of all of his healing. And then Gauntlets, you guys know that Gauntlets are very strong. They give you 20% CDR, the cheapest way you can get 20% in the game. They give you good armor and they increase your mana pool. And you are going to probably be giving your blues to your mid laner, so this is good to help keep up your mana. And since you have an auto reset, Spellblade's always good. Speaking about blue buffs, if you guys don't know, when you're going Devour, all you need is an assist to get a stack. You do not need to kill blue buff to get the stacks for Devour. And generally, it's pretty bad if you do that. So just make sure that you auto the blue buff soon before your mid laner kills it, and then that way you'll get an assist and it gives you a stack, and you only get 1 stack if you kill it anyway. So there's really no reason to take your blue from your teammates. And finally, Dead Man's Plate. You guys know about Dead Man's Plate. It gives you good health, good armor, and a ton of mobility. All those are very good for junglers, and the armor is going to increase Spirit or Iceborne Gauntlet's AoE. If you're versus a lot of APs, you can just go Banshee's Veil as your last item, yeah, if you want, but really I like the Dead Man's Plate for the mobility the most. Okay, on to Warrior. Warrior's really good on Trundle because obviously he's AD, and Warrior enchantment gives 60 attack damage, which is a ton right now, so it's pretty good. If you're going Warrior, you might want to go with the Armor Pin build that I showed, because you are going to be doing primarily physical damage, so you might want some Armor Pin runes instead. Anyways, I usually go defensive. I would go defensive boots if I was going Warrior, because the Devourer playstyle is you try to find 1v1s and you kill people very easily in a 1v1. Warrior, you're more about team fighting, and the same thing with Center Hulk, so I would definitely go defensive boots on these. And then next, you have to make a choice. So basically, you're going to either want Trinity Force as your 1 offensive item, quote quote, unless if you're like really snowballing, then you can get any of these 3. But these 3 I wouldn't necessarily recommend. But anyways, we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so you can get Triforce as your 1 offensive item, quote quote, or you can get Gauntlets and Black Cleaver as your offensive item. And the way that you tell if you're doing really well by the time you would need to make the choice, then you should probably go for Trinity Force. If you're not doing well, you should go with Gauntlets and Black Cleaver because they're very easy to build up. Now, if you do go with these, you're not going to have any attack speed at all except for your W. So in that case, I would probably build an attack speed item. I'm going to move these boots so you can look at it easier. So basically, you're going to have Warrior, one of the boots, it doesn't matter. If you're not going Triforce, is what we're talking about right now, you would have 4 items at this point. And then I would probably go Blade the Ruin King just to get you some lifesteal. And it gives you attack speed. Blade the Ruin King's not that great of an item right now, but it's really good on Trundle's kit. So you can get it on Trundle. And then finally for your last item, you can go Visage or Dead Man's Plate. Visage because you don't have any magic resist at all at this point, so you probably need it. However, if it reverses all AD, you can go Dead Man's Plate. Now, if you don't want to go Blade the Ruin King, you don't actually need lifesteal, and as you see, I don't even have lifesteal on the Devourer build, because as soon as you kill a champion, you're going to heal for a huge amount because they have health bars, and you're not really going to die. You're going to be able to beat anyone in a 1v1, and then after you kill them, it's going to heal you a ton, so don't worry about dying. However, if you want to trade this out for Youmuu's Ghostblade, that's good. And only if I was versus a lot of AP and I was doing really well would I ever get Wit's End. Wit's End isn't that good of an item on Trundle, but it would work if you were in that scenario where you're versus a bunch of AP and you're fed. But otherwise, I probably wouldn't get it. So here's the build. If you're ahead, go Triforce and then go Visage and Dead Man's Plate. If you're behind, you can go Gauntlet, Cleaver, and then Visage or Dead Man's Plate. Now, finally moving down to Center Hulk. Center Hulk, the times I would go, the times I would go Devourer is if you're confident in Trundle. You might not want to do it on your first time. I've been playing Trundle since like Season 3, but Warrior is pretty easy. You might want to go Warrior when you're first learning him, and then Center Hulk, if your team picked all squishy champions, you should probably go Center Hulk just to shore up that weakness that your team has. So obviously you'll be going Center Hulk, defensive boots. And then I would definitely go straight into a Black Cleaver. Don't even think about Triforce on a Center Hulk build. I would go straight into Black Cleaver, and then you can go Gauntlets if you're doing pretty well. If not, you can just leave it at Black Cleaver and get all defensive items from there. Spear Visage is very important to get on Trundle. It's pretty much as good on Trundle as it is on Maokai. If you guys know about Maokai, you definitely want it on him. Think the same with Trundle. Okay, and then finally, well, then you'll be at 3 items. You can go Gauntlets if you want, like I said. If you can't go Gauntlets, if you're behind, then you might want to go Randuin's into Deadman's. You don't have to rush Deadman. Even though I like Deadman's the most, Randuin's is probably, it gives you more tankiness, Randuin's does. So if you're behind, go Randuin's first. If you're ahead, you can go Deadman's. And if you're versus a ton of ADs, get a Thornmail. If you're versus a ton of APs, get a Banshee's Veil. And that's pretty much what it breaks down to. So I know that I didn't talk an insanely detailed amount, but you might just want to copy these down and try out all of these different items on Trundle. All these items work, even Wit's End, it works, it's just not that great. And then figure out what you want to do from there. Like I said, Trundle really isn't that hard. The one thing that you have to master on him is his E, and we'll talk more about that when we get into the gameplay, which is actually coming up next. So anyways, yeah, just copy this as it is. You might need to pause the video since I'm kind of scrolling quickly. And yeah, next we'll be moving on to the gameplay. Okay, so here we are loading into the game, and as usual when you're loading into a game you want to take a look at both teams and try to plan out your early game. Now the enemy team has Shin top, Olaf jungle, Morgana mid actually, and Bard and Lucian bot. Shin isn't that hard to gank for Trundle, however he can dash over your E, so that might be a little bit difficult, and he's also a tank, and really it's not that great to put tanks behind because no matter how far you put them behind, they're still tanks, right? I'm going to ahead speeding this up. If you can see at the bottom, this is a 30-minute game, which is actually pretty long, so we're going to speed through most of it, but I'll of course slow it down in the important parts. Now, I do like to start at blue buff on Trundle, by the way, because he does have mana problems for your first few clears. Later, you don't really have to worry about mana problems because you can just only auto-attack camps, and we'll turn off chat, and I'm on blue team. Anyways, late game you don't really have to worry about it because if you are not late game, but once you get your jungle item, no matter what it is, you can pretty much just only attack camps and maybe use your Q some. You don't have to use your W, and that way you'll save a lot of mana. His Q is an auto reset. That's really the only thing that's important about jungling. You want to use your Q as soon as your auto attack is landing, so then a new one will start immediately. If you guys didn't know, auto attacks, most of the slowness between auto attacks is in the ending animation of an auto, not at the beginning of it. So if you have an auto reset and you use it, then you cancel out all of that ending animation lag, as we'll call it. Anyways, I don't think I finished talking about who you can gank. Morgana doesn't have a dash at all, and her shield, while it prevents the slow from your E, obviously she can't walk through your E, so she's actually pretty easy to gank. And Lucian, same thing as Shen, he's not that hard, but he can dash over. So really, none of the bot lane looks like I can't gank them. Here, I catch out Bard trying to ward, and when you're playing Trundle, it's a lot like Lee Sin. So, since Trundle can win 1v1s versus any AD champion and versus most other champions, you should play like that early game. So if someone walks up to you, then you should bully them until they get help, or until you know it's just too far. So, just then, I saw Bard trying to ward, and I'm going to go ahead and abuse him for that because I can, because I'm Trundle. Now, anyways, as far as who I'm going to focus ganks on, probably try to gank mid and bot a lot, because Gangplank scales really hard anyways, whether you gank him or not. As soon as he gets 3 items, he's super strong. And then Vayne's actually kind of a bad champion right now. We'll slow it down before we see this, but Vayne's actually not that great right now, so you do need to help her get to the point where she's strong. And finally, Ahri, I'll probably gank her lane some too, because Morgana is so easy to gank for Trundle. Anyways, my Sona had just died bottom, so the enemy Bard's going to go aggro on the Vayne, and it was very obvious this was going to happen. You could tell by the way they were playing, so I'm going to go ahead and wait. Vayne actually baits them pretty nicely. Bard comes in, I'm going to auto him and then put up the E. So the way you want to use Trundle's E, the easiest way to use it is to do what I did. So let's watch what I did with the E again. It's not actually here. Yeah, that's just the replay system being silly. Okay. Now watch what I'm going to do with the E here. I use it to where it blocks Bard's pathing completely, and he's going to have to walk all the way around it to get back to the turret. So that way he's walking through the slow this whole time, and it made him sidestep instead of walking a straight line, so that's going to slow him down even more. And that's pretty much what you want him to do with his E at all times. You always want to make sure that they have to walk around it. But there are times where you can actually stun people with your E, just like a Nivea's wall, if you know that it can do that too. However, it's really difficult. And then we actually get the Lucian there too. The enemy's just overextended to try to kill Vayne. They didn't know I was there, and it's going to be easy cleanup. But Trundle's E can stun people against walls like Nivea's, except it's way harder to do because obviously Trundle's E is just a small cylinder, not like the straight line that Nivea's is. But if you can do that, the way that you do it is you want to use your E. So your E doesn't move. You know, your E moves champions. Your E doesn't... If a champion is where you're placing your E, it won't shift your E placement. So knowing that, I don't even know if I'm going to stun someone this game with it, but how you do it is, if I was stunning myself right here, I would place the E right on the edge of my champion. And what that's going to do is it's going to shove the champion against the wall because the E doesn't move, the champions move, and then the champion, best case scenario, they're just going to be stuck and they can't move. A good case scenario, even though it's not the best, is that they'll have to walk from here all the way around. They won't be able to walk through it. That's really good too. So that's how you stun people with it, but like I said, it's extremely hard to do because it's so much smaller than a Nivea's wall. And if your enemies don't know it, most of the time you can back out of a Trundle wall stun, but you can't keep walking forward. If the enemies don't know that, they might keep trying to walk forward and then they'll just get stuck. But as far as you guys, you watch this guide, so now you know if a Trundle pins you, somehow he gets that lucky, then you need to walk away from it. Don't keep walking forward and you'll get out a lot quicker. Here, I'm going to come bot again because the way that you snowball games, so as you can see, my whole team's pretty behind this game, except for me. I'm doing fine. But my top laner's already died, my AD carry's already died, my support's died twice, and mid lane isn't really doing anything at all. And the enemy mid lane has 2 assists. So anyways, long story short, what you do to snowball games is you pressure the leads that are ahead. If I went top, 1, it's versus a tank, so there's no reason I should be ganking that anyways, and 2, he's so behind that I don't know if ganking him is actually going to help, or if it's just going to make him kind of you know, not die. So basically, if you have the chance to snowball a different lane, you should do that rather than trying to save losing lanes. If all of your lanes are losing, just go with the one that's most likely to carry. And if all of your lanes are winning, you know, then you got it made. You don't really need to do anything. So here I come bot because I know that bot lane used... Well, I'm just trying to return bot to keep ganking them to snowball my Vayne. Here the Bard was in the bush, and while Lucian is going to hit me, I don't really care. You know, it's not that big a deal. And one thing to note about Trundle's E. So since Bard wasn't against the wall, I couldn't make him walk around it. I couldn't force him to do that. But if you place your E right in front of someone, which I'm going to do here. No, I didn't. Okay. We'll see it later. But if you place your E right in front of someone, it kind of knocks them up. And if you do it correctly, it'll knock them back towards you a little bit. And that's the best thing you can do if they're not near a wall. If they're near a wall, then you can do a lot of stuff with it. But in that case, that's what you can do. Here, Morgana actually roams down to stop this gank from happening. I'm going to ult her because I can take her once I ult her. You know, she's not that hard to kill. But she has Ignite. Yeah, she ignites me, so there's no way I'm going to be hanging out for that because one of the reasons Trundle's so strong, like I've been saying, is because of his healing. And if they ignite you, obviously your healing's reduced, so I didn't want anything to do with that. And it's a good thing I did leave because Shin ends up teleporting in. They kill Sona, and then Vayne was too greedy to try to get return damage, and they're going to kill Vayne too. So, overall, it's looking really awful for my team, but I did win this game. Spoilers, but basically what I did this game, if I remember correctly, this game was played before Christmas, and it's January 5th today, as of recording this. So, it's been a while. But anyways, all you need to do is snowball the lanes that can carry. And in this game, Ahri can carry and Vayne can carry, and I don't think Gangplank's going to be carrying. However, he'll still be useful late game when you get some items. So now I'm just farming. I did go Devourer. That's another thing. If you're really confident in your jungle skill, it's a lot easier to carry with a Devourer champion than it is with a Warrior champion. But if your team is doing really poorly and you can't do anything about it, you're not going to be able to get Devourer stacked anyways. So here, I come mid. We can watch. I'm pretty sure I just... Yeah, alright, see, did you see the knock-up from Morgana? If you didn't see it, we're going to play it one more time, and we'll do it in slow motion this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the wall right here on the champion, if you see my cursor right here. And what that's going to do is, once again, the pillar doesn't move, the champions move. And that's going to knock Morgana kind of towards me because it needs to get her out of the circle of the pillar. So we'll watch that again. Same thing happens with Anivia's wall if you're experienced with Anivia. So here I put it right under her feet and she's going to knock a little bit towards me. That's just going to slow her down a little bit. Then I'm going to go ahead and ult her because she didn't have her shield on. If she had her shield on, then my ult would have been completely useless because she would have been immune. But she was saving her shield, I guess, for the Ahri charm, maybe. Either way, as soon as I ult her, she's going to be a lot squishier. And we're going to be able to kill her. As far as Trundle's ult goes, I guess that you need to know a little bit of know-how to use it. It's certainly not hard to use because it's just point and click. But basically, if you're ganking one squishy person or two people and one of them squishy, you would ult the squishy person because it's going to make them even squishier and you're going to be able to kill them really easily. In team fights, it really depends on what your role in the team fight is. So if you're playing as the tank for your team, you probably want to ult the enemy tank because that's going to give you a ton of tank stats and you're going to be really tanky. But if the enemy AD carry is out of position or something, you can ult them. Also, if you're just playing damage, you can just ult someone who you're fighting and then you can kill them very easily. Now here, Morgana had a ward and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Knock her up with the pillar. I'm going to ult her. She's going to get really low, but Shin ults in and I just leave. In hindsight, I could have definitely killed the Morgana. And I did end up flashing anyway, so that probably would have been better for me to flash onto the Morgana, kill her, and then get out. But not all is that bad because Gangplank comes in, and even though he's really behind, all these enemies are super low, so Gangplank's going to be able to clean up one anyways. So in the end, it was 1 for 2, which isn't good, but it's not as bad as it could have been. You know, it could have been 2 for nothing. Okay, then they kill Gangplank, so now it's actually pretty bad, but it's fine. As far as I'm doing, I'm having a really good game. I'm 1-1-3. My team's not doing that well, but I'm really good with Trundle, so we're going to be able to win this. Now, as far as items, I got Devour. I went for Pickaxe because I'm trying to get Yunsos, and I couldn't afford the Needless or the Blasting one. And the Blasting one isn't even good on Trundle. Like, you have to get it because it goes into Rage Blade, but There's no reason to get it if you're just buying it when you could buy something else, so that's why I went for the no magic mantle. Here, I'm doing dragon because I am Devour, and Trundle doesn't have sustain problems, like I said, so you can kill the dragon really easily, and as soon as you kill it, it's going to heal you a ton. See, I'm full health, and Olaf tries to fight me. Now, if you don't know, the thing about Olaf is his ult gives him resistances when he's not ulting. As soon as he ults, he loses all those resistances for, obviously, the immunity to CC. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ult Olaf immediately before the fight even starts, because that way he has his bonus resistances, and I get the most out of it. That's the thing about Trundle's ult. All of the healing and resistances that you get is calculated as soon as you use it. So if you're versus Rammus, you want to use it while Rammus is in his W. If you're versus Olaf, do it before Olaf ults, etc., etc. It doesn't work as in, if you ulted a Rammus before he W'd, and then he did W, it wouldn't give you more armor. So you need to wait until they armor themselves up, and then you ult. So anyways, I ult him, I'm going to get the most resistances out of this, and I steal AD. He does ult, and his ult would remove my AD debuff, but it was already too late then. He's already going to die. And I kill him. Morgana comes down, but it's not like she can do anything to me anyways. If she had chased me too far, Vayne would have killed her. So now I'm just clearing the jungle. Just stacking up my Devour, you know, just farm efficiently. Make sure you're farming in sweeps like normal. Always want to do that. And kill Gromps. Gromps give you 2 buffs. And I'm almost at sated. This isn't the game that I got sated in 12 minutes, obviously, but I am still going to get it pretty soon. The thing about Trundle is he has such good sustain that you can just jungle as long as you need to. And your ganks aren't that bad either if you know how to use his E, so you're going to get sated pretty quickly. And here my bot lane gets ganked, and this game is looking pretty rough. I'm having a great game, but my team is not having a good game. And here, Shin was pushing top. I'm going to go ahead and come up and clear it. 1, because there were a few minions for me to get, and 2, I don't want the turret to take any unnecessary damage. Now, I'm going to go over to Rift Herald because Trundle can solo Rift Herald at this point. Really, as soon as you finish your Rage Blades when you'd want to be doing it, but I didn't have a Rage Blade, so I'm going to have to do it now. I am getting really low, but you got to remember, as soon as I kill the Rift Herald, which I'm going to be able to with the Smite, that... Well, that didn't heal me at all, but it should have healed me a lot. Anyways, as soon as you clear it, you know, you're good. You don't have sustain problems. You can go straight back to jungling. Olaf came to try to contest me because obviously the whole game knows as soon as you kill the Rift Herald. He chases me into my jungle. The first time I stop him with my E. The second time he flashes onto me and he throws his Q. The first one I tank and then he smites me. And then I'm going to have to flash because the Q after that smite would have killed me. If he hadn't smited, the Q wouldn't have killed me and I would have been fine, but since he did smite, I'm going to have to flash, and I make it out. My Ahri died trying to save me, but I definitely didn't need saving anyway, so that's her fault for doing that. But now I have my Rage Blade, so as soon as you get your Rage Blade, you can pretty much win 2v3s very, very easily, depending on... No, not even depending on anything. Even with your support, you could probably beat a top laner, a jungler, and a... Maybe not a AD carry, that's a lot of damage, but... You win fights really easily. So here I come in, I'm going to ult Lucian because this is one of those scenarios where we're just trying to kill them. I don't need to tank a lot of damage because there's not a lot of damage here if they're running away, so I'm going to ult Lucian. He's going to get really squishy. He's going to have to flash away from me. Shin comes in. Shin can't do anything. I knew Morgana was here, but I didn't really care if I was going to tank a shot because I have my whole team here. I'm going to jump on the Shin because if I kill Shin, I get a ton of life back. So I do kill the Shin. As you saw, I got like 150 life maybe. And Morgana tried to kill the Vayne. The Vayne flashed over the wall, and we're going to get the Morgana too. So now we're on the comeback. And pretty much, Trundle, as soon as you get Rage Blade, you get really, really strong. And you should try to force fights as much as you can because you're probably going to win them. And that way you can get your team back into the game if they were losing. However, it is important when you're playing Devour junglers to make sure not to just focus on jungling. You do need to gank. Especially on junglers that have really good ganks. So like Master E, you might not focus on ganks that much because he doesn't have any CC. But Trundle, once you get the hang of his E, he has a really powerful CC because it's a displacement, a slow, and sometimes it can even be like a 3-second stun. How long is it? For 6 seconds. It can be a 6-second stun if you hit the magical pin, but the pin is super hard to hit. So don't even focus on that. Focus on making them having to walk all the way around it. So now, I have Gunso's. Morgana walks up to us for some reason. I'm going to ult her, almost kill her. Shin ults, Bard ults, they save her. We're going to get the Shin for it, and we're going to take this dragon. At least I'm going to. I don't really need my team for this. Obviously, the jungle item gives you lifesteal versus monsters, and that's part of the reason why you don't really need lifesteal as an item. Because if you just get to jungle for a little bit, if you get in a fight and you get low, if you can just leave and jungle for a little bit, you'll pretty much be back to full life. Here, I do smite the blue here because there was way too many people to contest it. I don't want... Always make sure, if you can give your mid blue, you should. But in this scenario, it's better for me to have it than for any of the enemy champions to have it, right? So I'm going to take it then. Olaf's coming into our jungle. Not too much is coming of that. And I'm going to recall, and now I'm actually going for a... Well, I started to build Spirit Visage, but as you can see, their team is pretty much all AD except for Morgana. And Bard does a little bit of magic damage, and Shin does a little bit, but really Shin doesn't do any damage. He's just tanky. I mean, he does some, but yeah, it's not that much. So I started Spirit Visage, but since Olaf's fed and Lucian's fed, I'm going to need to go... I'm actually going into the Dead Man's Plate first. You could go Gauntlets in this scenario too, but I think I just really wanted the HP because HP helps against all kinds of damage, right? Even true damage. Maybe not Vayne's, but any other champion's true damage. It even helps against that. So I went for the Spirit Visage to get a little more magic resist, and I'm going to go straight into Dead Man's. Next, I'll be building Spirit Visage, and then for my last item, I'm going to be going Gauntlets. As for you guys, oh, and I do actually die here. I just underestimated their damage, and as soon as I got snared, I was dead. But anyways, as far as you guys go, you should probably just build Gauntlets first in your games if you're just learning Trundle, and then once you get the hang of it, you can switch it up and maybe go what I did. So in this game, I knew I needed to be tanky really fast, so that's why I went for this, and then I'm going to go for Gauntlets later. You know, it's just the player judgment at that point. Here, my team's getting way too greedy to try to kill any enemies. They're going to die to Lucian. Vayne outplays the Shin as much as she can, but she got ignited by Shin, so she's going to die. And the enemy team, not much is happening. As far as I go, we already talked about the build. We already talked about what I'm doing. Basically, all you do at this point is try to force fights, because two things can happen in fights. I either get to Lucian, I ult him, and he almost instantly dies to me, or I just ult Shin. Shin isn't even that tanky anymore. We are able to kill him, and then I'm just going to be a monster and be able to kill everyone else. I am going to give this blue to Ahri. I want my Ahri to catch up. She's not doing that bad. Well, she's doing kind of badly, but you know, I don't really need it. Remember that blue buff gives you AP scaling as well, so if your mid's an AP champion that uses mana, you really need to be giving them blue buff, except for in extreme scenarios. So here we're grouped. Last time I did die here, but I'm just going to play a little more safer. I'm going to clear a camp every chance I get. As soon as I leave though, you see the enemies are pushing up, so I'm going to come back in. I know Olaf's here, but Olaf doesn't know that I know he's here, so I'm just messing with them to try to get them to blow stuff. I'm going to pretend like I want to clear their board. It's not a big deal. If I had gotten hit by a snare, I'd have been in big trouble, but she missed it by long shot, so I was fine. And then as soon as I go to kill red, because nothing's happening, unfortunately my team goes a little bit too aggro. Sona's going to die. I'm going to come back around the corner. My other teammates are going to die. I throw up the pillar. Remember that his pillar does slow in the whole circle, so even if you can't knock someone up, if you can get the pillar on a bunch of people, it'll slow all of them, and that sometimes can help your team too. His pillar just takes a lot of practice. It's not like it's the most difficult ability in the game, but it just takes some getting used to, and then once you get used to it, it's a really powerful spell. So as far as this fight's going, they take the turret. My team takes too much damage. Ahri walks up. She gets blown up pretty much. I ult the Lucian because Lucian E'd forward, and as soon as Lucian got close to me, I'm going to go ahead and ult him. However, he does flash away, and I'm going to go on to the Bard, and the reason for that was because if I can E right here, Bard's going to die. Bard's definitely going to die, so that's why I flashed onto him. However, it's not going to work out like that because all the enemies were hitting me, and I didn't want to instantly die, so I'm going to step back. Olaf, in the meantime, is chasing down my Vayne. He is going to kill her, but then I'm going to go on him because he's dead at this point. You saw Gameplan got a crit, but I'm also doing a ton of damage. You do so much damage with this build. Now I'm going back on the enemies. This might be... Yeah, I did die, but we were able to... Let's see how I got the Lucian. It was kind of sped up at that point. Oh, Lucian. Lucian just got really low to Ahri, and I'm going to go ahead and slap him and make it a double. So in the end, it's a 2 for 2, but if I hadn't done anything, it would have been a 1 for nobody. So just don't underestimate Trundle's damage with this build. He does so much damage with this build right now. If they nerf Rage Blade, like I said, you're not going to do as much damage as you do now, but right now it's really, really good. So as far as what we need to do to win this game, we have been winning 5v5s pretty much as long as our carries don't get caught out, as long as I'm able to start the fight, or ideally we let the enemies start it, because they don't have that good of an initiation either. And Trundle's really good at disrupting team fights. So say Olaf charges my Vayne again, and Vayne isn't like 20 HP this time, then what I can do is the rest of Olaf's team. I either knock them back, or either way they're going to be slowed, and then we're able to kill kill Olaf very quickly, and then it's a 5v4. That's what Trundle really excels at. And as you can see here, they kept placing wards in the bush with me, and I'm going to keep killing them just to mess with them. If they commit to killing me, I'm going to have to obviously leave, but until then, I gobbled up 3 wards. But yeah, Trundle is really good at disengaging. He's like the Janna of jungles when it comes to disengaging because of his E. If one person engages, you just E the rest of the team away, and your whole team can focus down that one person. So ideally, that's what we get to wait on, the enemy team engaging, but if that doesn't happen, then what I need to do is go on to Shin, ult him, and then just frontline as much as I can for my team for most of the fight. But at this point, I don't really think my team's strong enough for me to get away with that, so I'm just going to do what I can. The enemy team wards over. We're going to kill that really quickly. Oh yeah, I remember this fight. I think this is the fight that won us the game. So, like I said, I even told my team, I told my team this game, just wait for them to engage. If they engage, we win the fight for sure. If we engage, it could go either way. Bard engages. Bard hits me, Sona, and Ahri in his ult, which isn't a bad ult at all, but the thing is, I'm at the front, so I'm still going to be able to frontline this fight, right? Shin comes in, I ult Shin immediately because it looks like I'm going to have to frontline this fight, like I said. So I ult him, I get super tanky. Shin's going to... They kill the Sona, but what happens... Let's see. We'll just slow it down to half speed, and I'll commentate over the whole thing. So Shin comes in, and he's going to taunt Sona, because Sona's a really easy kill. She manages to get her ult off, though. That was really good of her. However, they have Morgana and Olaf, so it doesn't really matter. They're going to kill the Sona because she's so squishy, and then Olaf charges straight after our Vayne. I guess that's what he's supposed to do, but he's not going to get past me to get to Vayne. You know, he should just try to kill me first. So he runs down to Vayne. We're going to kill him. Shin also, as soon as he got taunted, I think Vayne stunned him against the wall. He's a really easy kill too. Now, Morgana ults. I'm going to try to get out of her ult by running the long way around. I throw out my E because I know she's about to come out of Zonia's, and I don't want to give her an escape. And then Ahri's going to chase after Lucian as well. Easy kill there. And then we get the ace. And I don't think we end on this push. But that team fight is definitely where we started to win the game. We are going to get this Baron. No big deal. And I think I'm going to recall because I haven't recalled in quite a long time. I give my blue to Ahri again. Yep. So basically, just know that Trundle is the king of disengaging. If the enemy has a bad engage, 1, you can be a really strong front line if you need to, and 2, you can sometimes separate the team with your E, kind of like Anivia does. But 1, Trundle's E is a little bit longer ranged, and 2, it's a lot harder to use than Anivia's W. It's not Anivia's E as well. But basically, if you can use it properly like I did here, this is another good E placement. Really, that's all I need to focus on in this. I already talked about who to ult. If it looks like you're going to be able to kill the enemy AD carry, ult them. Otherwise, you want to ult their tank. And other than that, it's easy. Your Q is an auto reset. Your W is an attack speed buff. So just throw it down when you think you can stay in it. And make sure you learn how to use his E to knock people back like that. Also, if you have a Vayne on your team, she can stun into your E. You're probably not going to be able to coordinate that unless you're on a voice chat. But like in this scenario, Shen either walks this way, Vayne stuns him, or he walks this way, Vayne stuns him. She is going to stun him, and then we're going to kill him. So I do actually play Trundle support a lot, and if you can get a Vayne as your AD carry when you play Trundle support, it works really, really well because of that. If you have 0 ping, or you're just really, really good at mechanics, then as soon as you hear the Vayne E, you can throw up your E behind the target she's going to E, and then you'll stun them. I know that you can throw up your pillar behind the target she's going to condemn, and then you'll stun them. That sounds a little bit better than saying E 10 times. But you know, you would have to have really good reaction speed or really low ping to pull that off. So I doubt you'll be able to do that. I can't do that. Unless if I was on voice chat, it's different. But like in solo queue, probably isn't going to happen that much. So now we're pushing down the Nexus. As you can see, the game's over. I'm such a monster at this point that if they try to defend, I'm just going to be able to kill them. they're not ever going to be able to kill me, right? I do have my Spirit Visage. Yeah, as soon as you get your Spirit Visage and an armor item, you are incredibly tanky. And you still do so much damage because of Devour and Rage Blade. That's why it's so good, but also because you have an auto reset, also because you have an attack speed boost. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just going to, well, my team's going to hit the Nexus. Luckily, I guess the enemy team kind of threw. Really what it came down to was they were an all AD team versus Trundle, and Trundle completely destroys all AD teams. Also, we had a lot better scaling late game team. Gangplank scales super hard, Vayne scales super hard. Ari's fine late game, and Trundle is a monster late game, as you saw. So basically, long story short, what you need to know about Trundle is how to use your E properly and who to ult, when to ult. And that's just something that really, it just takes practice. Trundle is not a hard champion at all, but you're not going to be able to play him your first game and do everything perfectly, so it just takes a little bit of practice to play him. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. I don't usually ask for likes, but you know, it'd be nice if our channel grew. So you can leave a like if you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed already, please do that. Also, you can check out my Twitter if you want to. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.